I'm just kind of shocked that I learned something about Jonny today because I didn't know that he played drums in middle school.
Yeah, I was finding that out too.
I know. I'm so shocked. No.
Yeah.
Why
I am also shocked.
That's okay. You know, right there. That's going to be the clip that we're going to use. I am so shocked that you play the drums, never told us, and then that's going to be the MC. It's going to be like, Paper Jackets breaks up because Preacher James and the rest of the crew didn't know that Jonny played drums, and now they're very upset. The first thing I want to get into with you guys is the name Paper Jackets. How did that come to be? Because in my mind, jokes all aside, I'm a Newfoundlander here in Canada. That's what we do. We like to poke fun. I feel like you guys were all just coming up with a name and someone was like, rock, paper, scissors. No, got it. Paper Jackets. Boom. How did it come to be?
Well, I think honestly, man, I had the worst time with this question, but I think it's as simple as we saw some paper jackets. We saw them over there in the corner, and we said, that looks like paper jackets. Like I saw some bottles with brown bags around them, and it looked to me like jackets on those bottles, and that's kind of how truthfully that's as simple as it is, and then there's different versions of the story, but that's pretty much it.
I like that answer. It's kind of like a mystery answer there, because it's like, I think of bands like, Blink-182, 1975, where you're like, where's the 182 coming apart? And they're like, yeah, if we called ourselves Blink, we would have got sued, so we just came up with 182. I'm like, it's a lie. Don't you lie to me. You tell me where that 182 comes from. I'm taking that to the grave with me, James.
One other really good interpretation is like the jackets on like LPs, like old fashioned records, the paper jackets.
Oh yeah.
That go on the records. That was that's like a side, that's like a fan, sort of like if a fan were to make up, how the paper jackets were formed, that would be their interpretation. But truthfully, I was sitting around trying to, you want to know how it fully started? I was sitting on one of those like domain sites trying to find a like www.whatever.com.
Yeah.
I typed in, the first one I typed in was paper. The first one I typed in was paper jacket. And so that was taken. So I just added an S, and it was paper jackets, and that was totally available. And so I was like, shit, yeah, I'm gonna fucking get that domain name.
Who's using paper jacket?
I have no idea, but if people are making jackets out of paper, I don't think it's a good thing.
Like a couture type of runway look?
It could be.
Oh, well, it's back up for sale.
I like that idea, because I mean, when I was younger and I was just thinking, I'll start a band, and I'm a very pop person, but for some reason the color, I like the color blue, although I'm wearing red here, but it's like blue, and I thought like death for some reason, because I like Fall Out Boy, I like punk stuff, so I was like, let's combine those two and call it Bleth. But ironically enough, it would have been all like pop songs. So imagine you going to a concert, punked out of your mind, and then all you hear is, it's not unusual. And they'll be like, I did not come here to listen to this. His name is Bleth. It doesn't market well.
Yeah, you want it to be like...
That's like someone going and naming themselves like Elvis Presley, and then you go there and they just do like, I don't know, like Fall Out Boy covers or punk covers.
Right.
You're like, I don't expect this. You ripped me off. I want my money back.
Right. You don't want to be confused. You don't want to be confused by the name.
Exactly. Like I should have just called myself like Bop, but then people would be like, "Oh, we're going to see Barney and Baby Bop." I'm like, "Oh my God, no, that's even worse."
I know.
When in doubt, just use the last
The
name.
truth. Yeah. The truth is, no matter what, you're fucked if you try to be in a band.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's just I feel like some people just try to combine letters of their name, and I'm just still like, no, because there's always going to be a band member that's like, you just taken one letter out of my name and 5 out of that person's name. Yeah, but he's the lead singer. That's why. It's like, I'm out of here. I'm forming my own band. I'm gonna call it D12. No.
Yeah. I need at least 5 letters to be satisfied as the lead singer.
That's funny though, because we do call ourselves Jaja, but secretly
Yeah,
it's like a second band name.
you should mention.
Yeah. I kind of want to. Okay, so like to get into, I guess, each individual one of you to kind of pick your brains. Tell me a little bit about your story, about, I guess, getting to where you're to. Jonny, I'll start with you. Tell me a little bit about how you got into music. Who are some of your influences? And yeah, I'm picking on you first, so the others have a little bit of time to think about it.
No problem at all. I guess, we were just talking about this with each other. And I don't know, when I was a kid, I was always like really into like drums, and actually drums were my first instrument. And then I eventually picked up the guitar, and not to bring up Fall Out Boy, but like when I was in middle school, was literally obsessed with Fall Out Boy. And that was kind of the start. And then, I was in a band when I was in like middle school. I was the drummer, and then just like I've always just played music. And then when I was 18, I moved out to LA and just kind of always done music. And then one day I was perusing on Craigslist for like a couch or something, and I was like, oh man, I should like to see if there's anybody looking for like guitar players. Like the third person down was like guitar player wanted for like pop alt band. And then I like messaged, and like within like literally 5 minutes, James called me, not even just responded to my email, but called. And then it was like they met like 2 days later, and here we are. That's kind of the brief version.
I like how you mentioned about Fall Out Boy and you got into drums. Like now, when you were in high school, did you ever have to? Because I know you said a little bit about guitar, but did you ever have to compete with a guitar guy or a guy that shows up to campfires that only knows, like, say, Oasis, and that's all he ever sings, and you just go over with the drums and be like, no, this is my stage now?
I think it was kind of the opposite. Like there's this guy who was like super good at guitar, and I was like, man, the guy's like so fucking good. Like I don't want to be better than him. And maybe wasn't the best like attitude towards it, but I kind of, I think I did. He was so cool, and I was like, I want to be cooler than him.
Yeah, no, I get that. That's how I deal with my podcast. When someone's like, you're not cool, I'm like, my whole life goal now is to be cooler than you.
Exactly. It's great.
Yeah, I take the Mike Posner approach. The Mike Posner approach really to heart. Yeah. James, we'll go with you next. How did you kind of get into music? Because I know vocals. I feel like you started with the singing in the shower and said, "Damn, I'm pretty good at this."
Are you talking about me? You talking about me?
Yeah.
At what point did I say I was singing in the shower?
He's kidding with you.
No, I'm kidding with you. I'm joking.
Sorry, no. Your audio feed cut out when you said my name, so I thought you said Aimee.
No.
I was like, did she sing in the shower? So you want to know about my influences?
Yeah, like how did you get into the music side? Like I kind of look at it as if, a lot of people will just kind of sing to themselves, sing in the shower as they do, and then they're like, you know what, I'm pretty good at this, and then they go out in the real world and they're like, oh my god, I'm terrible. But in this case, it works for you.
Yeah, just for the record, I never was a shower singer, but I did scream in the bathroom just to hear the echo of my voice. Just a few times as a kid, I was mesmerized by the echo. It was before reverb was introduced to me. I had to go into the bathroom and just yell to get the reverb. But yeah, I know what you mean. For me, like, I was always like into music. As soon as I heard it, as soon as I saw like a boombox and put the for me, it was more of like one hand was in the tape deck and one hand was in the CD disc, the CD-ROM deck. I had like there's too many different CD-ROMs and tapes around my house. But I will tell you that the big ones were like like for me, like I got into my mom's music, and she always listened to like Def Leppard and like Queen, and my dad always listened to Elvis, and so I just did. And as soon as I saw Elvis Presley, I was like, man, that guy's got some moves. I think he looks cool. I like his golden suit. I want to wear a golden suit one day. So I was like, God damn, I'm going to do that. And that was where I kind of like went into it. And then all these kids in high school were like, man, you should listen to Nirvana and all that shit. So I was like, okay. But truth be told, I never really liked Nirvana because that guy just was too strung out on heroin, you know. But I will tell you that the purest heart, before I ever tried drugs, I loved Elvis Presley. And I still love Elvis Presley. So that's all I can say.
No, I think that's a solid answer. I like that. I know when you're talking about the reverb, I usually go into the bathroom when I was younger and just want to hear my own voice because no one would listen to me. That's sad. No, I'm only kidding. Emily, we'll go with you next. Like, how did you get your, I guess, musical talent or like interest in music?
Well, so my parents always had like instruments laying around the house. There was an acoustic guitar in the hallway, like an old upright. And I used to just like go over and like pluck a string or press a key and just listen and just be amazed at the sound that it made. And then just like everybody else, like my parents always had on MTV. Like my mom would wake me up blasting like Fergie. She loved Fergie. So that was kind of like always around. Like there was always a record on, whether it was Dave Matthews Band, Metallica, Dire Straits, it was always something. And then one day my dad bought a drum set. I still don't know why. Just bought a drum set.
Midlife crisis.
Yeah. It was like a beginner's pearl set.
Midlife crisis drum set. Sorry.
And like I was young. I was like, I have to say though, I was also homeschooled. So everybody in the house got to try this drum set, and I didn't get to, and I got upset, and I went to my room and went to my fort, and I was like, man. And then they put on AC/DC really loud, and I was like, well, I'm just gonna go out there, and if I play to the beat, no one's gonna know. No one's gonna know it's me. So I went out there and did just that. And of course, it's a drum set, it's loud. So like everybody came out, noticed it. And then I feel like I was thrust into like percussion classes. And I was homeschooled, so that was like my whole world was just music classes. Got into the classical side of things. I got into piano so I could play with my sister, but she stopped practicing. I kept going into piano competitions, doing both piano, drums, and all the percussion, like xylophone, marimba, all that stuff. I got into jazz bands, whatever I could get my hands on, basically. But I often found that I was like the runt, I guess, because, you know, in music, well, these classes, there's like the higher up, like the first chair, the second chair, the third chair. And I would always like compete for it and nail every part. And somebody would always get like offended by that. I don't know. But I just had a really hard time in school and getting picked on and everything. And when I was 18, I moved out to LA and just wanted to get in bands and things. And that's actually how I met James. We were in some bands together. And then we kind of went our separate ways, and then eventually made our way back to LA. And he called me and said, hey, starting a band, you want to be in it? We're like, yeah. You know, like without even hearing the music, I was like, of course, yes. Because I knew he had something really special about him. And then here we are now.
No, I like that. I kind of like that whole story more or less to be the runt, and then like finding your way pretty much because are you like the youngest in your family?
No, I've got a bunch of stepsisters and a younger sister. She doesn't care for me.
So it's pretty much it's like pretty much trying to find your way.
Yeah.
And Aimee, tell me a little bit about how you kind of got into music, because I like how when I was doing a little bit of research, because they all kind of bypass this a little bit as well, as these three meet each other, form this band, and you're like the last one to join. But I like how James did mention like adding you, they had a different kind of voice, like there's elements that you bring to this band that I'm sure they all appreciate. So tell me a little bit about your musical side.
So I started singing as soon as I could speak. Pretty much it's hard to say like what my first song ever was, but I do remember singing my own version of like the ABCs and making it like really pretentious and soulful and adding all these unnecessary ad libs. I was always like very obsessed with that. I grew up a lot with my parents' vinyl collection, so like Prince and Fleetwood Mac were big, Stevie Nicks, and also my sister. I have an older sister, and she was very much into like the grunge scene and all these alternative female acts. So Fiona Apple and Alanis Morissette were played a lot in the house. I did a lot of imitating with that. I joined a couple of choirs, but I didn't really get into like the live scene until high school, like late high school when I started my first band. But I got kicked out of choir twice, both of those choirs, by the way. So I guess a little bit of a misfit and a loner. So music was kind of my therapy. I'd go home and my parents were both working, so I'd go home to an empty house a lot and just watch MTV the whole time, not do my homework, how that story goes. That's pretty much.
You do have some Canadian points there, so she's on the board for Canada because she mentioned Alanis Morissette. So good going. I do like though that when you were mentioning about singing the ABCs in your own version. Now, I don't want everyone to burst out laughing at once here, but in my mind, I was thinking of Fergie singing the anthem, and you going like, "Hey, babe," and it's like, can she just say ABC? Why is she doing this? It's dragging.
You gotta be like really distracting about it. You just gotta like show off, I have this memory of like people being like, "Oh, so you can sing?" And I'm like really young. I'm like 6 or 7 years old. I'm like, "Yeah, I can sing." And they're like, "Well, sing something." And I'll just like bust out with the ABCs. And I'll be like, A, B, C, D, E, F, G.
And that's when they walk away because they're so embarrassed. They're like,
well, they walked away, but the other girl that could sing, like she got her cousins to come back around later, and they beat me up.
But that's so this is where you still use your musical talents, okay? Instead of yelling out help, you go, help me, I'm getting beaten up.
Was that like SOS, like Rihanna song? That would have been helpful at that time.
Exactly. I mean, to each their own. Like, when I was younger,
to be young and gifted.
Yeah. I mean, like when I was young, people used to be like, "Oh, you think you're a funny guy? Well, tell me a joke." I'm like, "That's not how that works." And then they'd be like, "Oh, well, your face is funny." I'm like, "If you laughed at that, then I'm funny." And then you go home and be like, "Oh, I'm not funny. They insulted me." I want to get into a little about COVID now because we're all in kind of quarantine. Feel free whichever one of you want to shoot out first. But what exactly have you been doing to keep yourselves content or busy?
I hate this fucking question so much. Because I hate. Because honestly, I still don't know. Honestly, I don't know if I'll ever be content or busy ever again because I feel like I'm stuck in hell. But I'm trying so much. I feel like personally, I am doing things that I enjoy. I have many. It's like, Aimee introduced me to this show, Last Man on Earth. Have you seen that show?
I've heard of it. I don't think I've ever seen it. But there's a lot of Last Man's things on TV that I'm like, dude, come on.
I feel like we're living in the last last man on earth kind of situation where it's like, yes, the earth is still beautiful. Yes, there's still pleasures that humans have, but the world is fucked, and there's not a lot of room to do the things that are normal to you. So I think rediscovering a lot of that has been hard, but we, as a band, we have done a lot of good, and in the absence of normal life, we've done a lot of cool things, and I think we're moving towards a life that sustains that kind of like, I don't know, that sustains that kind of like reality. And I hope I hope soon we can get out there and play some actual shows. But for the most part, to keep ourselves sane, I know Aimee and I play a lot of like Mario Kart. I know Jonny's been into that as well. We've been into like, I got a badminton net in my backyard, trying to do that, trying to get out there and get some exercise. So that's all I can say. But fuck, it sucks.
I like your answer, but I also now appreciating more that you're a musician and not a preacher, because I can just imagine you going into a church and being like, "We're all fucked."
I could be.
And you see people be like, "I didn't get that."
That's a good point. That's a good.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm coming in like with my grandma or something and be like, "This is Preacher James. He's asserting us that everything's fine. James, can you please talk to my nan? We're all fucked. Amen." I like the Mario Kart though. I agree with you on the Mario.
I would love to deliver that message.
Well, you know what? I can reenact it for you. I mean, I come from a broadcasting background. It's like, we're live with James from Paper Jackets. James, what's the news? We're all fucked. Back to you in the studio.
It's like the world's a beautiful place, but we're all fucked.
Yeah, and then you'd see me expecting you to go longer. I'm doing my paper read, and then I'm expecting you to go longer, and I'd be like, and then I'd be like, "Sorry about that. James was supposed to go 10 minutes longer, but apparently we have to come back." That would be my Mike Myers moment of when Kanye was like, "George doesn't care about black people." That would be my moment.
I forgot all about that.
Yeah. Never forget Kanye.
He's done so much, it's just hard to remember everything he said.
Yeah, in fairness, I forget a lot of it, but my favorite one that I've ever seen on Instagram was when I think it's Kim goes, "We don't have a pool." And he's like, "Can you believe that? We don't have a pool," or something of that nature. I'm like, I totally relate to Kanye. Totally relate. You have all this shit, but yet you don't have the one thing. Like, Kanye is doing his best.
Man.
Emily, what have you been doing to kind of keep yourself, I guess, content? Hopefully not listening to, Preacher James over there.
Hey, sorry. I'm sorry. All right.
No, I agree with you. Listen, I'm on your side.
In a weird way, it's kind of like comforting to know that someone else is also freaking the fuck out, So I listen to Preacher James, but I've been into, like they were into Mario Kart. I was into The Sims, mainly because like I liked building them giant castles down again. That was very entertaining for me. Suddenly 6 hours go by, you're like, oh, okay. And just, like fine tuning the basics, of instruments and like just running your scales again and just, while I'm at home, might as well do that.
Now, in fairness, have you ever given your Sims your basic real life and seen how that turned out? Because I've tried that once and my Sims committed suicide. So I wasn't. No, I'm only joking. That's sad, but I'm joking. But someone's definitely out there being like, "I did that to my Sims and they did that, so it's not so funny." I'm like, well, then make your life more entertaining. God.
My girl, she is a musician and she's published and she took the classical route. So she writes classical songs now. And I made all my band members, I have yet to show them, reminding me. And we all live in a band house. And then I've got like a house with my dream, don't think I'm going to have kids, but they had kids. My boyfriend and I had kids there. And then we've got a little dog and our cat.
Does it have a pool?
It does.
Yeah.
It has an underground pool with a spirit ship.
Because it has to have a pool. Otherwise,
I'm so terrified for your children.
I remember reading about that thing with the Kardashians pool, and it was because they have a pool, but they've never used it.
There you go. Yes, there you go.
Yeah,
Like just
I'm telling you, man.
Here's like
Just-
Kim Kardashian and Kanye West's $60 million home has a pool that hasn't been touched.
just take a second and just imagine you are married to someone and you get them something and they never use it. Not like something small, like, oh, you didn't use like this shampoo I got you because you didn't like it, but a pool. And you're like, I love our pool. How the fuck do you love your pool? You've never been in it. That's like me saying I love a band and never heard one track, and someone calls you out on that. Like, come on. Yeah, fair enough. But
Yeah, it's.
no, I love Kanye in that aspect. Like there are moments that I'm mad at Kanye, but in that aspect, I'm like, dude, yeah, I relate to you.
You know what it is? It's just a testament to how quickly people can take for granted the nice things they have. And the truth is, the biggest one I can tell you is like, I used to have a nice view of the Hollywood Hills, and now I have a shitty view of a parking lot. And I'll tell you this. When I first had the view of the hills, it took me like 2 weeks to take it for granted. And I guarantee you, Kim and Kanye take a lot more than that for granted, including the view, including the pool, including their kids and their life, and fuck all. What else, So.
I feel like your anthem right now.
End of speech. End of preaching.
I feel like if you were walking off right now, we would have to sing Beverly Hills. Jonny, what have you been doing to kind of keep yourself sane during all this time?
Besides like Mario Kart, I bought a bike, and I just like go on super long bike rides, and it kind of helps pass hours of time. So, yeah, I've been cooking more. What else? I've been trying to like just get out. 'Cause at first I was just kind of cooped up here, being all sad. Then I was like, you know what? As James put it, there's a beautiful world out there. I've been trying to explore a little more, at least locally. So.
I feel like, so to cheer you guys all up and to kind of, being quick marketing here, like Baby Teeth. I heard that you guys love seeing Baby Teeth because they put you in like a happier mood or a better spirits. Like, tell me the importance of that. Like, why is it that song? Like, to me, that the song like Pharrell's I'm Happy doesn't make me happy. It makes me annoyed. So tell me why this song in general lifts your spirits.
For me, I think it's just like the live experience of that show that song is it just makes us all happy. We want to dance, we want to sing to it. It just feels good, James, sorry, I cut you off there.
No, yeah. I'm sorry I cut you off.
Guys,
Baby
I'm
Teeth
Canadian here.
is...
I'm Canadian. I get to say sorry.
Okay. Well, I'm not sorry for saying the next thing I'm going to say, which is that Baby Teeth is one of our favorite songs, but it seems like there's so many songs that come and go. This one definitely feels like a happy song for us. And we made just the big thing I want people to know about this song, we made a pretty kick-ass music video for it. And not a lot of people can make kick-ass music videos anymore, especially not with the kaleidoscope of color that we did with this video. I think you should definitely watch it. It's super cool. It's super cool. And not just try to plug it on your show, but I'm just saying it's a really cool video. But when I think back to the song, I think about the video too. I think it was one of those moments we had, together on set, and it was really, really, really neato.
No, I you know what? I actually have heard the song. I haven't come across the video. That's definitely gonna be something that I'll go back and look at.
You should watch it. It's dank.
It's really cool.
Oh, see, you don't want me to watch that because what's going to happen is then I'm going to just track all you guys down and text you and be like, this video was great. This video is great. It's like, look what you did, Preacher James. You made this worse.
You can text me. I'll give you my number. Glad you can text me whenever you want.
So you know what? It's funny because I want to kind of get into how I stumbled across you guys. In the world of COVID now, there's a lot more people that I guess trying to find things to do. I've kind of invested a little bit more time in social media, just scrolling through Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and that's where I came across it on Instagram. And I think the song was Bad Company. And, you know, the first time you scroll through it, you're like, hold on, that was actually catchy. I'm going to scroll back up. Then you listen to it a little bit more. You're like, okay, you feel it out. And then I was like, one day I lost it. I was like, you asshole, you had it and now you lost it. Luckily, it came back up, and then I was like, "Oh, this song sounds great." And then I went to the iTunes library and started like previewing some more songs. And it's like "Miss You" was catchy. "I'm Depressed" was another one that I liked, and "Girl." And I was like, "All right, send these guys a request. Have these guys on because I like this music." And I've said it before to other people, and I'll say it to you guys while you're all here. It's a lot to me like a bit of 1975s, a little bit of, sometimes I'll hear a little bit of like Blink-182. There's like all these different sounds that I like in it, but I compare it to the 1975s because it's different elements to the song. It's not all the same song. And I can say this as a Canadian, but it's not like a Nickelback where you hear one song and you're like, I hear one song, I heard them all. Sorry, Nickelback. It is what it is. But in your case, it's like you can pick a song, like it. You might not like the next one. You like the third one, but you're like someone else like, but I like that one. I'm like, good. They give you something of different of every element. So I know it's a long-winded way of saying I like the songs, but how do you guys relate to that or feel about that?
I love that. I think a lot of people, I mean, just personally, I'm sure I can speak for my bandmates as well. People will come up to us and be like, I really liked, you know, this song or this, I really like Fair Weather Friends. And I'm like, really? Because it's not exactly like a popular one, but that's like their anthem. That's like what they wake up to. It's what they listen to make them feel good. And that feels good to us too. Because I know we all have our bands and our music that we listen to make us feel good. By the way, that Fall Out Boy record, that first one, oh my God, that's all I would listen to, you know? So the same goes for nowadays with bands that we like, you know? But I love that take.
Yeah, like I kind of like the experience of, you know, when you grow up, your kind of musical interests might change or you kind of grow to appreciate other tunes. Because I remember up here in Canada, like the Much Music Video Awards per se, and you kind of get stuck with certain acts that you like. And I think one year Fall Out Boy had won one, and I was hanging out with a friend. I'm like, I hate Fall Out Boy. I can't believe they took the award away from this person. And then I actually go listen to their music, and now I'm probably one of the biggest like Fall Out Boy fans ever. But like if someone took an award away from Fall Out Boy, I'd be like, I hate them. And then like 3 years later, you're like, all right.
Right, yeah. I noticed over quarantine, I think country and like trap pretty hard, you know? Just taking the time to listen to new music too has been nice over quarantine.
Yeah, sure. The other thing I want to kind of get into here as well is, now I know we kind of brought in about the musical influences. What is the age range here? Like, are you guys all kind of 90s kids or a little bit like late 80s?
You could say that, yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's correct.
So like, I want to get to the debate here starting going, but like, you know, we've kind of discussed, well, I've kind of discussed this with other people as well, but like Britney or Christina or Backstreet Boys or NSYNC. Now the guys are probably gonna be like, neither. Fuck that.
No, I'm gonna take this one. Okay, so Christina, obviously for the vocals. Like Britney, she always had the dance moves, you know, and I feel for Britney and I'm rooting for her. I don't know if you watched that documentary, but I'm pretty shocked about what she's been going through. So I'm supporting Britney. I was an NSYNC fan. I'm just gonna say it. They had the better vocals. Their acapella performances were always on point, and they had the better dance moves. But here's the thing: BSB was much bigger worldwide, and I recognize that. But at the end of the day, Max Martin was writing all those songs, so it's all kind of like it's all the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, like
I guess,
JT, and Brittany. I'm sorry, not JT, Brittany, but I like NSYNC and I like fucking Christina. I could take Brittany too. Whatever, they're all good.
Okay, so get this.
What about Shakira? The question is, what about Shakira?
I didn't have friends that influenced me upon like the NSYNC and Backstreet Boys or Christina or Britney, so I discovered an Irish girl group called Bewitched, and that was my jam. That's what I was listening to when everybody was listening to the popular.
What the fuck? I don't remember that one.
It was like a B C-level pop hit.
Yeah,
but it might have been bigger worldwide. I don't know.
Is that how people are going to talk about me later? They're going to be like, yeah, it was like a C-level band. I don't know. It was like kind of shitty.
Pop in the year 2000. I feel like I know every like mid-level and high-level artist and song. So.
Hey man,
so
if you go down being remembered for anything, that's great. Like, you know, you sing "C'est La Vie," but I think Jesse, Hold On, and I know you're gonna be like, ah!
Thank God I haven't heard.
And I look at it from the standpoint of like when you're mentioning about British, like the kind of the British invasion. You're like, I don't know if you'd remember it, but we've had, I think it was like Five was another one of boy bands. That was
Baby, when the lights go out.
There you go.
It was in that Stepmom movie with Julia Roberts.
I'm sure they would love to hear that. It was in that.
She was a photographer, and it was like the scene. Yeah.
Yeah, there was Five, and my favorite one was BB Mac. Although, like,
now you're back here, baby.
There you go. Emily, what are you doing? You brought this up, and it seems like you're spacing out on me.
I haven't heard of these things.
You have to
homeschooled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Aimee will educate you on this.
Yeah, she's got me. We had a whole Selena night.
I taught her about Selena, not Gomez. Selena, like continue.
There you go. See, there are fans out there that are going to listen to this and be like, Gomez, and then you're going to be like, come here.
No, Selena Gomez's namesake, Selena. Like that's who she's named after.
Selena.
Yeah,
Johnny, like
definitely.
I want to include you in this as well, but Johnny, like in the 90s, I guess, what kind of bands were you listening to? Because like I feel like as a drummer, you might have idolized maybe someone like a Travis Barker and like a Blink-182. I could be dead wrong, but like
for sure, like that's spot on. Yeah,
I'm so glad I was spot on. That's like the one. Hold on, let me put that on the record. A point for me.
There's James.
Oh, he's right. He's right there. He's back.
I'm just kind of shocked that I learned something about Jonny today because I didn't know that he played drums in middle school.
Yeah, I was finding that out too.
I know. I'm so shocked. No.
Yeah.
I am also shocked.
That's okay. You know, right there. That's going to be the clip that we're going to use. I am so shocked that you play the drums and never told us. And then that's going to be the MC. It's going to be like, Paper Jackets breaks up because Preacher James and the rest of the crew didn't know that Jonny played drums, and now they're very upset. I'm giving you so much content here. No.
Honestly, we never knew that Jonny could play the drums.
I know, I'm not good anymore.
Jonny, don't undersell it. Come on, this is a podcast. No.
Can you play drum? Question is, can you play drums and guitar at the same time?
Yeah.
You know what? He wouldn't need you if he was able to do that. Come on. That would just be a tour in itself. Forget Shawn Mendes. I'm Canadian. There's going to be people that are like, girls, Shawn Mendes. It's like, no, Jonny. It's like, you know, you can have a guy that can sing and play guitar, but can you play guitar and drums at the same time? That's a gift, my friend. That's a beer commercial. That's a beer commercial right there. Yes. Forget Tom Brady and he's whatever.
So before I so rudely interrupted, what were you saying?
No. We were just so what we were doing. We were discussing like Britney compared to Christina. I asked Jonny kind of where he was interested in drums, how he kind of got interested in that, and I mentioned Travis Barker. I got a point on the board because I was correct. But I guess I'll swing over to you, James. Like in the 90s, what kind of things were like you really listening to? Nirvana.
In the 90s, what was I listening to? Okay, so there was this little TV on my mom's like dresser, that played. It would just like played whatever. Well, actually, no. I don't know. I don't know back then if you had cable or what. I can't remember because I was just a kid. But it had MTV on it, and I remember like seeing like those MTV news shows. Do you remember that? With what's his fucking name? And it would be like a news program, but on MTV. Remember that?
I believe that's actually his official name, by the way.
I remember exactly what you're talking about, but I can't remember his name. He was older.
Yeah. And so anyway,
I'm so glad you don't know the name because you're just hearing.
That's where I got it, but I can't remember. I think the Dire Straits had a video on MTV at that time, and that was like the first time I saw colors and music and light and love all come to me at once, and it was beautiful. I'm trying to remember before that. Honestly, I remember my mom dated this guy who was a contractor. He owned his contracting business, and in one of the rooms that they were doing all the drywall in, there was like a bunch of scattered cassettes, and it was like Queen and like the Police and like all these cool 80s bands. But of course, I had no idea what the fuck that meant. So I put them all and I jammed them into whatever slot they would go into. And that's basically the birth of my whole musical life right there. And seriously, before that, it was just oldies on whatever the oldies station was. I can't remember. But for me, it was 101.3 oldies. Before that, it was just darkness, pure darkness. So, yeah.
That reminded me the other day, James, we were filling out that document with like we were doing this like running doc where we could all fill in the answers. And it was like kind of a lot of these questions like, how did you start music? And like it says like, what is your favorite artist of all time? And I was looking at James's and I literally laughed out loud so hard because it was like, here it is. He said Tom Petty, Dire Straits, Elvis, and The Used. That is
I honestly got into so yeah, there was a big dark period between like, the 80s and 2001. But in 2001, I was reborn as like an emo kid. I was like, it was like all of a sudden Elvis and anything I knew before then was just forgotten. It was kind of like remnants of Kurt Cobain, but mostly Burt McCracken, and it was like the crackhead McCracken days, so I love it. Were you guys big fans of the Used up in Canada?
I mean, for me personally, probably not. But now if there's other people out there that are like, I mean, you gotta look at it. I'm a Newfoundlander. I'm pretty plain and simple. So it's like, Bare Naked Ladies to me was big. Alanis Morissette, Avril Lavigne.
Oh yeah.
But yeah,
Bare Naked Ladies is a great choice.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And like now we have the Arkells. The Arkells are like a pretty decent act, I feel, as well. But
and you
yeah,
have Mother. I mean, you need to check them out if you haven't.
What's that?
Mother's Canadian. They're awesome.
Oh, Mother, yeah. I feel like I'm going to start my own band called Father, and we'll team up. We'll have some children. No, I'm only kidding. That would be terrible. The other thing I want to kind of get into here with you guys is like, I know we kind of touched on COVID, but now in 2021, what's some of, I guess, the silver lining or some goals, like I guess either personal goals or band goals that you're kind of looking forward to? I shouldn't say looking forward to, but more or less like, I guess, kind of like motivating you to not, I guess, do an old yeller.
Well, 2020.
We've got
I'm saying band goals. I mean, things are looking promising with the vaccinations and the rollout with that. So I do think we will see a return to live shows this year, maybe late summer. I'm hoping. So just getting prepared for that. If I'm gonna say when the time comes, we'll be ready to just get back out there and not be like lollygagging, getting rehearsed when we could be out there. So I prefer to get out there as soon as we can.
We're already preparing ourselves right now for that potential or possibility. I hope that it becomes reality soon. I think we all do. In all seriousness, I mean, God, if we can just get back to like some, a semblance of normal and get out there and play for some people and rejoin our friends on the road, that would be great.
And Jonny or Emily, you want to tune in with your own there?
I'm with them. Like, I think, there's these virtual concerts that people are doing now. I think those are pretty cool. But also just, I think a lot of people miss being there in the room with, their favorite band or whatever, and just having that experience and like being with your friends and singing at the top of your lungs. Like, I think when the whole COVID thing lifts, people are going to really appreciate that more. And the whole like concert business is going to really be booming. People miss that. They realize what it was. Like, oh, you can't take that away from me, and so people are going to be going out more. Yeah. So I'm ready to go to shows. I'm ready to put on shows. Like, I'm ready.
Yeah.
It's going to be good.
We're tired of this bullshit, man. I got to tell you, we're tired of it. And I think I mean that in the nicest way. I know, we are tired of being cooped up. We want to be out there for people, for their enjoyment. And yeah.
James, I like that soundbite. That's what I'm going to use at the beginning of this episode. I'm tired of this bullshit, and people are going to be like, I can't believe he said that to the podcast host. What did he say during this interview to make him so mad?
It's not from a place of anger, man. It's from a place of love.
Yeah, of course. Like, if I was one of those podcasts where it's like, I want the dirt sheet, that's what I would use as the poster. It's like, like, hey, you got to check out this podcast. Here's what James had to say. I'm tired of this bullshit, man. And they're like, why is he so mad at him? What did he do? The host looks very scared. I want to play a bit of a kind of a Canadian game, if you will. It's not trivia. I'm not going into Canadian trivia because, listen, I would be kicked out of this whole country because I don't know my own Canadian trivia, which is, I guess I'm okay with. Where else would I go? But have you guys ever had poutine?
I have.
It sounds dirty.
It does sound dirty, but I can't remember. I can't say yes or no.
Explain this poutine.
Jonny, you want to give it a shot explaining poutine?
Well, I went to Canada a couple times and was told to get some poutine. It's basically like French fries with like gravy. And
with what?
It's like gravy topped French fries.
Wait, actual like gravy you put on turkey?
It looks weird, sounds bad, tastes great.
I'm looking this up.
Okay. It's like potatoes. It's like potatoes and gravy.
Oh, that makes sense.
French fries.
That makes sense.
Come on.
I won't even put ketchup on my fries. I put mayo on them, so I'm not no place to judge.
Oh, it doesn't look that bad.
I feel like me and Aimee, if we ever hung out, I'm okay with that. We would not have a problem with that. Now, I know that you guys
can I just say? God.
No, you go ahead.
You got it.
No, it's you, James.
I was just saying, you know what this reminds me of? If you ever watch Pulp Fiction, when he talks about, he's like, you ever been to Amsterdam? He's like, yeah, drugs are legal, man, it's cool. And then they're like, yeah. He's like, what do they call a Big Mac in France? He's like, Elroy with cheese. And he goes, man, what do they put on French fries? And he goes, they put them in fucking mayonnaise. They drown them in that shit.
Yeah, they do.
It reminds me of that kind of thing. It's a weird thing. People don't know how to put different things on fries. Like for me, I grew up putting ketchup on fries. Some people don't like ketchup. know. But for me, ketchup goes on fries.
How about
I don't know. Maybe it's great.
Ice cream on fries? That actually sounds good. If you were to dip it in a milkshake, I can get on board with that.
Really good.
I like just sauces, just not ketchup.
Sauces.
Sauces. Is that my?
I like ketchup.
I love sauces.
My sauces. That's how I say it. How do you say it?
Sauce. Put a
Sauces.
sauce on it.
Sauces.
It's okay. We were alone.
I'm from
We're
Boston area, and it comes out sometimes, I guess.
Like the sandwich that you have,
The what?
the sandwich. What do you call it?
Oh, grinder.
Yeah, grinder.
Kinda. Only if it's a sub, though, not like any sandwich. The grinder.
I feel
What,
like
a
you have,
hoagie?
Amy,
You're
full
right.
disclosure, be careful when you ask for that in certain places.
Yeah. Yeah, I recognize
What?
it is a regional request.
The grinder.
What do you call it? What do you call it? A grinder?
Grinder, yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound like, you know what? Maybe back home, but I feel like if you were like, hey, give me a grinder, they'd be like, okay. And then you're just like,
Yeah.
easy.
Then I'm going to have to, run. Yeah.
Exactly. It's fair. I feel like Emily's response there. If someone said to, a poutine, she'd be like, I don't know what that means. I don't know what you're trying to get at, but no, please stay away.
It'd be like,
Emily-
what did you just say to me?
I'm gonna ask her. Emily, Emily, what do you put on? What do you guys eat out there in Arizona for sandwiches and stuff? Like, what do they have? Is it like a?
I don't think we got a special one, or maybe that's when I learned about the ice cream and French fries. I don't recall.
See,
Yeah.
if I was
On
at
the
Emily's
East
house,
Coast, on the East Coast, they've got all kinds of different kinds of delis and sandwiches and cheesesteaks. People put ketchup on shit, and some people hate ketchup. I feel like for me, I remember my stepdad. He used to beat me because I didn't. I'm just. He used to say stuff. He used to go, why do you want ketchup on your hot dog? And I go, what do you mean? Ketchup goes on hot dogs. He goes, no, it's mustard and relish.
It's mustard and relish. He's right.
I like ketchup. How about pineapples
I'm
on?
like, what the fuck is that?
I agree with the pineapples on pizza.
Thank you.
I like pineapples on pizza.
I do too. And
Me too.
I might
That's
be
where we're friends.
between that.
Okay, well then I feel like that's going to be the name of this podcast. It takes people about 53 minutes to get into the reason, but that's okay. No. The other thing I want to get into with, of course, with the How Canadian Game is I know you guys named some of your favorite singers, some people that you idolize, but could you name me maybe a Canadian act that you like either you still follow or you're still kind of like head over heels with? To me, it's Avril. I'm sorry, but I don't care what she does. Avril's always number one.
She's great.
I mean, Justin Bieber.
Yeah.
Oh, I still keep up with Justin Bieber.
Okay, I got one. Mariana's Trench.
Nice.
I cannot get enough. Always makes me happy. Josh Ramsey's vocals are insane, and I've actually been trying to sing along with him, and I've noticed that I've been getting better because of him. So I'm all about it.
Shout out. Okay. Yeah, we've actually had. I'm trying to remember the guy's name there. I think Ian Castleman from Mariana's Trench on. Yeah, they're a really good band. The other one that's a little bit controversial, but I will add it just because I have no problem saying it, is I grew up with Headley, and I liked Headley. It kind of sucks with what's going on now, but I feel like music.
Oh, Headley's good. Headley's good.
Yeah. Music person separate, but I feel like I can defend the music, maybe not the person. It's almost like when someone says I grew up listening to Chris Brown. It's like, yeah, great dancer, great vocalist, but person maybe don't want to meet him that much.
Yeah.
I like how Johnny's like. I'm looking at Johnny's mind. He's like, solid point.
Can I just put something out there? I want to put something out there.
Go ahead.
My favorite Canadian culture, and I don't know if they celebrate it up there in Newfoundland, But Jonny and I'll even speak for Jonny on this. We like the Trailer Park Boys.
That is actually Nova Scotia, so it's like the right province right over. But yeah, we're very big on the Trailer Park Boys.
Right? Are you? Okay.
Yeah.
Just making sure. I'm just making sure because that's a big one.
Yeah, Trailer Park Boys was actually it's huge up here. I remember when they were when it was on like CBC up here. Like I've had friends that would be like, "We're going home watching Trailer Park Boys." I'm like, guys, look around. We are the Trailer Park Boys. Why are we watching ourselves on TV? Come on. They'd be like, I'm not buying into your. Why are you so negative? I'm like, I'm not being negative, Jimmy.
That's a very great show. I was a little late to the party, and I remember I was like, James was like, "Oh, you got to watch like season 7 or something," and I was like, "Oh yeah." So like I loaded it up on my iPad, and I was on like a flight, and I watched like 5 episodes, and I literally like couldn't. I was just by myself, and I couldn't stop laughing. And the people next to me were like, "What the fuck is he watching?" And I was just dying by myself.
So this is a show. This isn't a band.
No, it's
it's a TV show.
No,
it's
it's a Canadian masterpiece.
Isn't that like is it called Schitt's Creek? Isn't that Canadian?
That's another one. Yeah, that's a good one too.
Well, that's a different Canadian masterpiece. That's a different one. Yeah.
I mean,
I'm trying to fucking.
I could be incredibly biased here and say Trailer Park Boys compared to Schitt's Creek just because it's more local to me. It's closer in the East Coast, but Schitt's Creek's a good show. I mean, listen, there are people out there that still look at that lady and say she's from Home Alone, and that's it. I feel like that has, yeah.
Well,
I
a lot of other stuff too.
I just want her to be like,
I would love to see it at Schitt's Creek where she at least had one cameo with, Kevin. I would like to see him in one episode at least.
Yeah.
Have you guys seen like Waiting for Guffman?
No.
It's Waiting for Guffman and like Best in Show and those are all the movies that led up to the success of Schitt's Creek and to the success of like that dude. Do you remember Best in Show, the movie about the dogs and like you gotta watch this.
That's a great movie.
Fuck anyone that doesn't think this is a good movie. It's a good movie. But she's in it. That's what I'm trying to say.
I want to get to a point here that I think is kind of interesting. And I don't know if you guys like do a lot of digging on this stuff. I did it over Christmas because I was just interested because of the success of Schitt's Creek and because Macaulay Culkin was telling everyone how old he was and for us to kind of be shamed of more or less like, guess how old I am now? And I'm like, oh, thanks for making me feel old. But someone came up with this whole concept of how Dan Levy and Kevin McAllister, or he'd just be a different name, of how they'd get married and like basically they'd have like a Home Alone 5 or something. And like the whole idea was the burglars are out of jail. They have a booby-trapped house, but now it's Kevin that has the booby-trapped house, has to explain this all to the husband. And then, of course, the wife or like the mom has to explain how she like kind of gangbanged the people in the car. And that's how she made her way home. I'm like, it sounded wholesome until you mentioned that last part, guys. Why would you do that? But people were like, do it. And then there was people like, why do we have to make Kevin gay? I'm like, oh my God. Just let it be. It's over. Home Alone 4 sucked. And Home Alone 3 was bad. So like
wasn't
whatever.
there a reenactment? Didn't he do a reenactment on like YouTube or something of Home Alone?
Yeah.
Older?
Well, I like the sketch where he talks about how he's at a party.
Really good.
He's like, they left me home alone, man. And I'm just still like, yeah, they did, Kevin. I guess, guys, to clue it up, I did enjoy the conversation. I kind of want to get to, again, back to the band part of things here, but like, tell me a little bit about like how these sessions are going. Cause I know with COVID, you're all in different, like, I know you're all generally in the same area, but how does like the sessions come to be? How do you write songs during this time frame?
Aimee, you can answer that question.
Oh, okay. So, I mean, it's just like with anything. Someone comes up with an idea, you send it to another person. This year we started exploring more with various producers. So there was a lot of like what I call song dating. Just trying new things and working with new people.
Yes.
A lot of Zoom stuff, which I'm looking forward to getting out of, because writing songs, I mean, you can do it, but I just prefer the face-to-face when you're, talking about, it's just a different vibe when you're in the studio and when you're just looking at your computer screen.
That's fair. I feel like, in contrast, when you're doing Zoom meetings, it's like, you can still bounce ideas off each other, but I feel like in real person, or like in real face-to-face, it's like if you want to have it out with someone, you're like, I didn't like how that song sounded. Come over here. It's like a Mortal Kombat moment.
Yeah. There's something different.
Yeah.
I say there's like writing the record, and then there's like making the record. And I feel like a lot of that happens when you're making the record. Because it's like you got to get all the sounds
just
right.
so you know, we have a lot of those Mortal Kombat scenarios playing out in real time.
I do it all the time.
Mostly me trying to kill everyone.
I do it all the time. Every time I'm done a podcast, there's like the inner monologue to me that goes, "Come over here," and I'm like, "What did I do this time?" In my mind, you know what the funny thing is though? When you mention Mortal Kombat, it's like Sub-Zero, Scorpio. Like, Jesus, all you did was change a color. Come on, guys, be more creative.
Well, Scorpion has a fucking thing it shoots out of his hand, right? I mean, and it kills and it makes the guy come over here. Whereas Sub-Zero, he shoots ice or something. Right?
Yeah.
I can tell the girls do not give a shit right now.
No, I'm look. Amy's face is leaned in, going, "When did I sign up for this?"
I'm just like, where am I? I just got a little lost here. Scorpion?
Well, like,
hey,
you know what? You know what? My favorite.
Did you guys play this game?
Wait, what?
Right. Can I just say there's a lot of latency on the speed, so it's hard for me to hear and also hear what you're saying. But what I was going to say is, did you play Mortal Kombat?
I don't think I did. I remember there was like a song though. There was like a really big song.
But you never played You never played the game.
I don't think I did. Was it karate?
Yeah, it was like karate.
Was it like street fighting?
No, that's Street Fighter. Different thing.
Okay, I don't want to be the podcast that breaks up this band. Okay, so let's all come.
Take it over, Chief.
I feel like the funny thing is with all that is when you're mentioning about these, like the game Mortal Kombat, and again, when just say they don't play it, it's like, everyone has a different dynamic. Like, I feel like everyone can relate to a Mario Kart.
R4.
Well,
we've been doing like
almost.
Battle a lot, like Mario Kart Battle. That's my jam. Throwing bombs at people.
Amy's ruthless.
In a game. No.
Dude, when you can land the right bomb on someone. That's as a child, that's basically how you get uninvited to sleepovers. It's like, he's the kid who ruined my whole life. Like I'm sure there are people out there right now, not me, but there are definitely people out there like, I remember back in grade 4, I could have been a very popular kid, but this guy gave me the blue shell and it ruined my whole life.
I hate the blue shell.
Yeah.
It's always at the end too.
That's going to do it for this episode of Tobin Tonight. Our thanks to Paper Jackets for coming on to the show. Remember, you can find past, present, and future episodes on TobinTonight.com, Spotify, and iTunes. Follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook, and leave a comment or two. For Tobin and myself, this is Jacob saying thank you for listening and good night.